And now, dead from Huntsville Ladder, it's Rockin' with Rockin Robbie in the 2017 Haunted Halloween Super Spooktacular Special. And now here's your host, the ghost with the most, Rockin Robbie.
Hey everybody, welcome to Rockin' with Rockin Robbie. I am your host, Rockin Robbie, and we are here with another Haunted Halloween Super Spooktacular Special! Yeah! That's right, everybody. It's the 6th annual Haunted Halloween Super Spooktacular Special. Can you believe we've done this 6 times?
6 years in a row.
6 times, everybody. With me tonight, ladies and gentlemen, my co-host, who's been here for all 6 of these Haunted Halloween Super Spooktacular Specials, Jumpin and Jivin,
What's going on, guys? This is good to be back for a 6th time.
Absolutely.
Only 660 more to get to a really good number for this podcast for Halloween.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. Also with us, ladies and gentlemen, Justify Justin!
Hey, what up? He's wearing pants today, which is nice.
Yeah, which is very odd.
Why are you telling them?
Still wearing the Hawaiian shirt, though.
Yeah.
It's
Anyway,
still hot.
and he's missed a button or two there.
And also, my co-host and partner here at Pop Culture Philosophers, ladies and gentlemen, Hammertime Holshoe!
Holshoe.
It's good to be back for the Halloween episode.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, the Haunted Halloween Super Spooktacular Special, we are proud to present to you, ladies and gentlemen, the 120th anniversary of Dracula! That's right, everybody. Dracula is basically my absolutely favorite novel of all time. I love it so much. It came out in 1897, May 26th, to be exact. I first read this novel in 1997 on its centennial anniversary, and it changed my life. I just loved it. I thought it was amazing. Of course, I'd seen tons of Dracula movies. In fact, the novel was not very popular at first, but it got really popular with all of the movies, of course. There have been movies and adaptations and plays and songs and
comic books.
Comic books, tons of stuff about Dracula. It established many conventions of vampire fantasy. So a lot of stuff that is typical in vampire movies and vampire fiction came from Bram Stoker's Dracula. The book is told in epistolary format, meaning that it's told through a series of letters, articles, diary entries, journals, whatnot, things like that, which to me really fascinated me. I thought it was a really cool storytelling device, and it still just resonates with me today. I try to read Dracula once a year. I actually have several editions of Dracula. No first editions, but I do have several editions of Dracula illustrated by different artists. Great stuff. Stoker researched this book for about 7 years. He took folklore from all over the place, possibly even based this on Vlad III, a historical figure back in old school Romania back in the day. We'll get more on that later. It is a piece of British invasion fiction, and I'm not talking about the Beatles, and I'm not talking about Grant Morrison and Alan Moore. What I'm talking about are books like by H.G. Wells, Rudyard Kipling, Doyle, and Stevenson. A lot of fiction at the time, especially during this Victorian era, and I love Victorian era fiction, a lot of it was about invasion of foreign influences into Britain, right? Think about War of the Worlds, right? Stuff like that. So this is kind of basically the same thing. A foreigner is invading Britain, right? Because the story is about Dracula, and he's trying to move from his homeland into Britain to have a whole new, just a whole batch of new, fresh blood for him to prey upon. Really cool stuff. Love it so much. Bram Stoker worked at the Lyceum Theater, which was managed by Sir Henry Irving. And this is the actor that he based the character of Dracula on. All the mannerisms, everything comes from this. It was originally published by the Archibald Constable and Company publishing house. It cost 6 shillings, and it had a yellow cover with red letters. The original edition of Dracula, which is, I'm not big on first editions or anything like that, but Dracula would be one I'd want. It's a little gaudy looking because it's yellow with red letters. Think about that. It's just really, but it's kind of cool. It has a lot of different themes and motifs that have been picked up through the years by many critics and philosophers, including the embodiment of the Freudian id, a response possibly to the powerful quote-unquote new woman of the time, And maybe that it embodies some latent homosexuality themes throughout it, because there's even a moment when Dracula swears his brides off of Jonathan Harker and says, "This man is mine tonight." And of course, anxiety over colonialism and racial mixing, which is very common in invasion fiction of the time. But first and foremost, this is a vampire story. So vampire folklore, which Bram Stoker researched for 7 years. Let's do it in about 1 minute. James, Jumpin' and Jivin' you are. Tell us a little bit about vampire folklore.
So the folklore that was used for the book of Dracula comes from 18th century southeastern Europe, particularly Transylvania. But it was also influenced by earlier stories of blood-sucking monsters and demons from the Hebrews, ancient Greeks, Romans, all that stuff, with such crazy names as the Estri, the Sybaris, the Vricolakus, the Strix, the Lemurs, the Strigoi, all these kind of different, things that, and the lore came about because of trying to explain groups of sudden deaths and suicides and all that kind of stuff. And so they're originally believed to be the revenant, or the visible ghost of an evil past person who is then taken over in a dead corpse. So actually, instead of being the pale white thing that we think of now, they originally were actually very swollen corpses and dark skin that had been affected by the sun and stuff. So it's also a way to explain porphyria, a condition where your skin can become very sensitive to sunlight, and you can even blister. Done.
Super, super cool. I also have heard, a lot of explanation on just things that they couldn't explain at the time. I had heard that they would possibly at times misdiagnose death in people, and the people would actually be in their graves, pounding on their coffin. People would hear it,
nightmarish.
and they would think that they had come alive. And there was even times where cultures would get so superstitious about vampire folklore, they would actually behead the dead.
Yeah, there are many cases that are even killing live people because they suspected they were vampires.
Super creepy stuff.
There was a mass hysteria at one point because all these stories spread so much in the early 1800s and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's why he wrote the book, in fact.
Absolutely. Stoker took a lot of all these despairing elements of these folklores and threw them all together and created some of his own stuff as well. But a lot of the typical conventions come from Dracula, like the garlic and the crosses, and some of that is pieced together from other folklore. Thank you very much, Jumpin' and Jivin' James. Super
no problem.
Cool. Well, of course, we're talking about Dracula tonight, but of course, we cannot forget that it is Halloween time here, and we love Halloween. It is the most wonderful time of the year. So if you got a Halloween party coming up, which PCP does a Halloween party now every year, and it's super, super fun, but if you got a party coming up and you ain't quite got everything figured out, Justin, justified he is, has a few tips for you. Justin, why don't you tell us a little bit about Halloween party tips?
All right. So if you've listened to our previous Halloween specials, you all remember the yarn spider web in the front yard. You get some yarn, you make a huge spider web in the front yard, you put a black light up under it, glows in the dark. It looks cool. This year, I've got some new stuff.
Oh, dun, dun, dun.
So first...
Black lights.
What you want... First...
Use different color yarn.
What you want to do is you want to go to Walmart and get a bunch of that pulled cotton. You pull it apart so it looks like
the
spider
batting.
Webs.
You can get that at Hobby Lobby now, I hear.
Yeah, Hobby Lobby. And you put it on your doorways and your furniture and stuff like that. Put a bunch of black lights everywhere and make that shit glow in the dark.
Yeah!
I'm just joking. That's the same thing. In all seriousness, my tips this year are for the drinks. You can do several really cool drinks with dry ice. And I found this link, this one drink that I made a couple years ago that you guys had at my house before we started doing the PCP party. It's Dr. Hyde potion cocktail, and it's really good.
Now, I think Jekyll was the doctor. I think Hyde was the mister.
Yeah. It's a potion that turns you into Hyde.
But you said Dr. Hyde.
Well, there was a hyphen there that you couldn't see because I was talking. But yeah, you make this drink, and we'll put the recipe or the link to the recipe in the description. But
Sure we will.
it's a really good drink.
We'll forget about this.
But
I do remember you making that drink. By
yeah, it was really good
because it had the cool like smoke coming off it or whatever.
Yeah,
like
you
out
put
of
the
a
dry ice in
movie.
it, and but you can get like a round bottom flask or Erlenmeyer flask or even like a beaker or just some scientific looking stuff, and dress it up like a library on your bar or counter or whatever.
Now that's super cool.
Yeah,
In fact, make your bar a bookcase that goes into the wall, right? And then it spins around.
And then a whole
That's a good party tip.
fucking room back there, and make a lab.
And then put a bunch of yarn out there.
Yeah, and put it. And but yeah, it looks really cool, and you can even get like some medical tubing and like I did, and run it into the glass and put a little valve on the end of it and make it like gravity fed, so you can pour shots out of it like a science experiment. It's
Well,
really
that's pretty cool.
And an easier option if you don't want to do all of that is you can get a big like cauldron, and then mix your punch or one of these beverages up and put it in the bowl. Set the bowl down in the cauldron on top of dry ice, and then the smoke from the vapor from the dry ice just comes out of the sides.
Will it go into the bowl with the punch? And
You can do either. It affects the flavor of the drink, though.
if you put the
do
dry
that.
ice in there. And plus, do
Yeah.
you have to worry about people consuming dry ice?
Yeah, and freezing
I mean, don't drink it.
Did you say freezing their assets?
Yeah, don't touch it with your hands, and don't drink it or ingest it in any way.
But
I said
put it in your
insides.
drinks to make it cool. And
It's horribly dangerous, but totally put your lips right
Yeah.
next to it.
It's really cool. You should definitely use it with
Don't
alcohol.
chew it.
And then you can do you can take those little cheese wheels and put like some sliced olives on them and make some little eyeballs. Just like little, you can do all kinds of random
you
stuff.
can do
with
that
your-
with deviled eggs now.
Yeah,
you make
the
some deviled eggs and put some like green food coloring in with the egg yolk mixture, right? So it's green, right? And you make your typical deviled egg. You put a black olive on there, or maybe use some sriracha to make some like red lines in the eye. And
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds
super
like way
cool.
too much work.
Yeah, you can do all kinds of real cool stuff with the food and drinking stuff.
Absolutely, super cool, very cool. Anything else, Justin?
Yeah. You get you go to the Dick's or somewhere, get you a bear trap, set up a bear trap out in the yard.
That sounds kind of dangerous.
Get somebody to
Again.
wander out there and get stuck in it, and you go drape a sheet over them,
Okay.
and put a black light next to them so they glow in the dark, and they're flailing around because they're stuck in a bear trap. It looks like you got a ghost out there floating around in your yard for when all the other guests show up.
That makes me think. Do you have a prank tip? If so, a lot of people like to go out on Halloween night or the night before and do pull a little bit of pranks, and
Yeah.
we're not saying that you should do that.
That's part of the
Yeah.
trick.
Yeah. No, pranks. Yeah, pranks. You want to prank your guests. All right.
Yeah, what
so
do you
what
do?
you do is you go and you get a big bag of like
yarn.
fun size. You go get a big bag of like the little fun size Snickers or whatever,
Okay.
and you get some needles. And you take about a fourth of them. You stick the needles in there so you can't see them, and then like some of your guests will have to go to the hospital. It's funny as fuck.
It's super fun.
Yeah.
And it saves you money on blood capsules.
Yeah. And all the drink. There's drink left over at the end of the night because half the guests are at the hospital.
One of my favorite things that we did here on a
Don't
Haunted
do
Halloween
that.
Super Spooktacular. Yeah, don't do that, kiddies. Haunted Halloween Super Spooktacular special. One time we had Mike, the voice Matthews, Maniacal Mike, giving us some prank tips.
The meat vendor.
And he said, and I've ever since he said this, I've noticed this a lot, James. He said that you'll drive around town and you'll see people that are throwing out old toilets. And I'm like, no, you don't. He's like, yeah, you do. I see this literally all the time now. Like every day I see a used old toilet outside of someone's house.
Do you
Maybe it's
always
the
think of
neighborhood.
taking it?
Maybe it's the neighborhood we live in, John. But seriously, he said, every time you see one, grab the toilet. Keep it somewhere. You eventually, over the year, have like 8 to 10 toilets. And then one night on Halloween, you go and put all the toilets in one person's front yard. So they wake up in the morning and there's all these toilets in their yard. And I think that's one of the funnest things ever. And I see so many toilets. We totally need to do this. And we should do it to Mike the Voice Matthews.
Have you thought
Well,
about
now he's gonna
instead,
know.
as a joke, if you see one of those toilets, just pulling over and just
And taking a
dropping
dump
a deuce? Yeah, right in the front yard.
Okay, so
Like, what, it's not
the
an
place,
outside toilet?
the place where we live, the place where the Huntsville Attic is right now, there is a house right next door that's always being renovated. It's like been renovated for how long, John? Like 20 years at this point?
Well, yeah, I've been here for 5 years and some change. No, I would be going on 6 years, and they've still been renovating that damn house.
And so there's a porta potty outside, right? And one day, I'm coming home, and I see these two dudes, and they're in a car, and one of them he just pulls over, and the dude gets out and goes in the porta potty.
No.
And he's in there for about like 6 to 10 minutes. So that means he's dropping a deuce. Then he gets out, gets back in the car, and they just take off. And I'm like, how often do they do this? Like, obviously he knew that, or was it like, dude, I got to emerge. Oh my God, there's a porta potty right there. Imagine you're with your homie, you're driving down the road, cruising, driving slow, homie. You know what I'm saying? Checking out the Ville. And then all of a sudden, you got to drop a deuce. You got some BGs going on downstairs. They're trying to stay alive really, really hard. You know what I'm saying?
So you're saying you're sliding in the third.
Yes, you're sliding in the third. And
the classy show.
and you're like, man, if only there were a porta potty just randomly in front of a house. And then you pull a corner, and there's one. What else are you supposed to do? It's destiny. God put that there.
Many times I see either the trash
Deus
guy
ex
parked out
machina,
there.
Indeed.
I see their trash service, like the people that pick up the curbside. I see them. They'll be parked there for long periods, and they realize, oh, they're not picking up their trash. One of those guys is dropping a deuce. I also see patrol cars out there. I'm like, this is the best patrol. There's always cops outside. I have the best security in this area.
It's because they're taking a
They're
shit.
taking a shit. So the cops will pull over there and drop a deuce.
Guys,
Maybe
I just
that should
got
be
a
a new
great.
security measure. Just put a porta potty at the edge of your.
Hey, there's always cops out here.
I just got a great idea.
Okay,
Okay, this year, BCP Halloween party.
that's
should
the
be a porta
bathroom.
potty.
If anybody,
That's the bathroom.
if anybody gets
Goes
like
in, yeah.
blackout drunk or whatever, we're not gonna call him an Uber. We're gonna let him pass out.
And put him in the
We're
porta
gonna
potty.
put him in the porta potty and put a bunch of fucking elastic rope around it and shit, so they wake up, they can't get out. But we'll give them their phones so
But
they
the
can
cops
call.
are going to find them because the cops.
will
Did you
find
not hear I say the cops use it all the time?
Or these random dudes
But that'd be
that
really
are
funny.
cruising the Ville.
That'd be a really funny story for them.
That would be.
Well, maybe they think they finally saved somebody. You know.
Speaking of porta potties, and this is Halloween related. So, haunts, Halloween, haunted attractions, big deal, super fun, very fun stuff. You know, the first haunted Halloween special we did a segment on haunted houses. We should do another one soon, maybe next year.
Or we should go to one.
We're gonna go to one this year. We
Let's
were
do
talking
a
about doing
video.
a PCP field
Let's
trip.
try to
and
go
we
like
should do a
5
video.
in one day and go to.
Well, that's a
That's
little
a-
excessive. They're like
I'd be happy to
$30
go to
each,
one.
Justin. You know, and sometimes though you catch a really cool person at one of these shows. Like I went and saw Bill Moseley at one, and when I went and saw Bill Moseley, who was of course in House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects and all that stuff, and in Repo the Genetic Opera, which is my favorite role from him. But anyway, he was there. But the week before, it was Angus Scrimm, the tall man. Boy,
I remember that. I
guy
remember
from
when you
ACDC.
met
it was
him.
at Atrox. It was really cool. So we could go do that. I met Doug Bradley, who played Pinhead a couple years ago at one of these things. I think it was at Atrox too. So we should definitely check that out this year. But anyway, JC's Haunted House, which is a local thing. It used to be a local thing. They used to do it every single year. But my mom would take us every single year to the JC's Haunted House. And we went one year, and my mom was an interesting character. And my buddy Eric was with us, and somebody he knew was there, and he didn't like her. And she went to the porta potty. And he goes, I don't like her at all. She's in the porta potty. So my mom was like, well, let's go fuck with her. They went over there and they started shaking this porta potty. This poor young woman who was in this porta potty, and they're like shaking it violently, like back and forth. It's like super creepy.
Wow.
Yeah.
I worry that stuff that's in there just splashes.
Splashy.
Splashing around, man, right? My mother, God rest her soul, but she knew how to do some Halloween pranks, because one year she drove us, and I've told this story many times, she drove us
This is the best.
She drove us into Maple Hill Cemetery, which is a super old cemetery here in Huntsville, Alabama, and faked like she ran out of gas. So we all get out of the back of the truck because we've been egging houses. That's right. My mom used to drive us on Halloween night in a truck. We'd sit in the back and we would just drive by egg people's houses. This is my mother.
Rude.
Yeah. She drove us in Maple Hill Cemetery, faked running out of gas, let us out of the truck, and we're like, well, I guess we got to push her out of here, right? And just took off. As soon as we got out of the truck, she took off.
I left you in the cemetery.
Yeah. Now, you
No
can't,
wonder you're vegetarian.
you can't you can't be in Maple Hill Cemetery after dark. cops patrol Maple Hill Cemetery, especially on Halloween. So we had to split up and hide behind tombstones. It was literally the scariest moment of my life. It was super creepy. I kept thinking that a hand was going to reach out and grab me, like that old urban legend.
Army of Darkness.
Ooh, absolutely. So we're
To get back on subject, these are all great party tips.
absolutely.
Drop your kids off at the cemetery and knock over people in porta potties.
And we're about to wrap up the first segment here, the first block here. So this is about Halloween and, of course, Dracula and vampires. So real quick, I'm going to ask you guys, do you believe in vampires? Do you want to believe in vampires? And how influential has Dracula been in your life? John? Hammertime? Holshoe?
I don't believe in vampires,
Okay.
even though I think they're cool. I mean, I believe in the films. I like them in movies. I like them in comics and stuff. I like them in pop culture. I think they're cool. I don't think they're real. They're vampire bats. Those are pretty badass.
Yeah, and they're pretty real.
Yeah, they're pretty
Do you
real.
want vampires to be real? Don't you want to be a vampire and live forever? That's something that appealed to me when I was a kid for some reason, and even today.
At what state, though?
It depends.
Do I get more decrepit? Like, can I pick when I
Well,
was
vampires
younger and better looking?
If you are fortunate enough to be turned into a vampire when you're young enough,
Yeah.
or you could be like Homer in Near Dark, for instance, where you're like a vampire at 12 years old and you're always 12, that would suck.
All right, I would like let me in. Or
But if you were
let me
like,
in.
you know, in your 20s or even right now in our 30s, like I think I would like to stay at this age, and I think.
But I
think-
have to drink blood. Do I have to kill somebody, or can I just get the
Yeah,
blood
but
out
who
without
cares,
killing
dude?
them?
Like, if seriously, you're alive for 500 years, like, you think you're going to care about that?
No, you just make friends with a hemophiliac.
No, I'm serious. Do you think you would even care about that?
Well, what movie was that where
Yeah.
they kept going to a blood bank and getting blood? They like paid under the table and got blood. From
Would
the
you
blood
drink
bank.
blood for the rest of your life if the rest of your life was 1,000 years?
Can I have tacos in addition to that?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
There are some vampire stories, though, where, like, they can't eat real food. That would suck.
I would give up regular food if I could have ice cream.
I like what you're saying about
Have ice cream and blood.
I like where you're going with the taco thing.
Yeah.
I would drink blood for 1,000 years of life being young, right? I would kill people and drink blood as long as I can still eat tacos.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to just live off
Here's the
just
thing.
blood. I do
Here's
like
the thing.
food.
Cat's already out of the bag. You mentioned it. I'm a vegetarian.
Yeah.
Could I be a vegetarian vampire?
I mean, it's
You
not
can't.
meat. You can't be a vegan vampire, though. That's for damn sure.
What about you, James? I guess you don't believe in vampires, I'm assuming. But, like, what's appealing about vampire fiction and Dracula in particular?
Well, it's one of the first horror themes that really involved like the sensual and the romance, and attributed it to the villain, and not to
we're talking about
the
a
obvious
repressed
character.
a repressed society. We're talking about some
Yeah.
Freudian themes in Dracula. Like, the repressed sexuality is all throughout Dracula. Dracula is sexuality just let out, sensuality, and just he's all about feeling. They mention in the movie or in the book when Mina is slowly being turned into a vampire. Spoilers, it doesn't work out that way, but they talk about how her senses are heightened, and so obviously, along with heightened senses comes heightened feelings during certain sensual acts, right? And I guess that's why a lot of sexual things go along with vampire fiction.
Yeah.
And before, vampires are very scary, and then they become very sexy. And of course, Bela Lugosi is a big deal with that, because who's sexier than Bela Lugosi? I mean, I'm serious as hell, right?
John Stamos.
Oh, yeah.
But can he wear a cape?
It's hard to pull off the cape.
I'm sure he could.
I don't think he can.
I don't think John Stamos can pull off the cape.
John Stamos, if you're listening, please send us a picture of you wearing a cape.
Yes. Someone tweet him right now. What about you, Justin? What do you think? What? How cool are vampires? Would you want to be a vampire?
I mean, you got to make the rule list because John went through a bunch of stuff. I mean, like if I can have tacos, yeah. If I can still look good for the rest of forever.
What if you couldn't have tacos, but you could only have tostadas? But no, and now,
and do you have to worry about somebody breaking into your house when you're sleeping during the day and killing you with a fucking steak? Is that a constant? Is that a constant fear?
The way we fear, like, yeah, the way like Americans fear like crime and stuff. Like,
yeah, you got to think about somebody coming in and be like, they know a vampire
No,
lives
I love
there.
that. Hammertime Holshoe is the one that comes up with that idea. Like, no, I'd be scared of like people just breaking in and staking me for no reason.
Just a fucking fucking guy, Marv and Harry break in, and they start taking all your silverware and shit. And they're like, "Oh, this guy's a vampire."
Well, here's something though.
Go get a spoon and kill him.
Here's something though, and I'll throw James in on this too, and we can all discuss real quick. But no garlic, man.
It would kind of suck.
That's rough. That's rough for foodies.
More so
go
for
back to your
Italian.
stipulations again. Is it bad for them or does it kill them? If they eat it,
It gives
does
them really
actually kill
bad
'em?
indigestion.
Yeah, because if it's lost,
You could do it a couple times a year.
it didn't mess with the dude in Lost Boys. He was like, "No, I love garlic. It's just a little bit much."
Yeah.
Yeah. You do it a couple times a year.
Yeah.
Make it a special thing.
So, Dracula, big deal to you?
I mean, yeah. It's like the first. Like when we recorded the 70s horror podcast, we were talking about how
Nobody mentioned Frank Langella's Dracula, by the way.
that's probably true.
The sexiest Dracula.
But
Well, because that movie's not
I was-
a horror movie; it's a love story.
Yeah, it is, and it's bad.
he really there were scary stories before then, but
He's a better Skeletor than he is a Dracula.
He really is.
was horror
And a really good Richard Nixon.
was horror actually a genre before Dracula?
Yes.
With
There were vampire stories before Dracula.
Yeah, Edward.
yeah, I
look at
suppose
Poe.
that's true. Yeah,
Yeah, there were vampire stories before Dracula, for sure.
were there? Yeah, there were specific monsters. I don't know. Yeah, Dracula's cool. I don't know where I'm going with this. We got myths and all kinds of history to go back before then.
All right, thank you guys for checking us out here on the 6th annual Haunted Halloween Super Spooktacular special. And now it's time for the question of the day. Today's question of the day: who is your favorite movie, Dracula? We'll be right back here after this break on Rockin' with Rockin' Robbie Haunted Halloween Super Spooktacular Special. We'll be right here after this break from Corn Bits. Don't forget, he's got the corn bits.
He's got the corn bits, yeah.
He's got the corn bits, yeah.
He's got the corn bits, yeah.
Getting the corn bits.
He's got the corn bits, yeah.
He got the corn bits, yeah.
He's got the corn bits, yeah.
We're getting the corn bits.
He's got the corn bits, yeah.
Who couldn't use more corn in their diet? Try our crisp and refreshing cereal, Corn Bits. They taste delicious and they're fun to play with.
Hey kiddies, don't forget, for a limited time only, you can now try Candy Corn Bits. It's a Halloween treat that's sugary sweet and hauntingly corn-tastic. That's Candy Corn Bits, available for a limited time only at your local grocer.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Rockin' with Rockin' Robbie in the 6th annual 2017 edition of the Haunted Halloween Super Spooktacular Special!
Yeah.
And with me, as usual, is Jumpin' and Jivin James,
Oh yeah.
Justified Justin,
What's up?
and Hammertime Holshoe.
What's up?
I am Rockin' Robbie. Thank you for coming back and listening to us. This is all about the 120th anniversary of Dracula. And before we left, we asked the question of the day!
Dropping some philosophy.
The question of the day is, who is your favorite movie, Dracula? Hammertime Holshoe.
It's going to be Bela Lugosi. He's the quintessential
Hmm.
Dracula, in my opinion.
Okay, why?
First off,
'Cause
he's in several of them.
Well, he's only in one.
He's
What?
only one.
I thought he was in.
He only
other-
appeared as Dracula twice. In Dracula,
Otherwise, he played Igor.
yeah, he was Dracula in Dracula
Okay.
and Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. The only two times he actually played Dracula.
Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. Maybe I
He
changed my answer.
He was a Dracula-type figure in Return of the Vampire and a lot of other movies that he was in. But those are only two performances as Dracula.
Oh.
But he was so iconic as Dracula. What most people think of as Dracula, and he wasn't the first, because the first cinematic Dracula was Max Schreck, Count Orlok from Nosferatu.
I take my back my answer. Who was the guy who was in Dracula Dead and Loving It? What's his name?
Leslie Nielsen.
Leslie Nielsen.
I think that's the answer then. He's superior.
It's funny. You know, I reached out on social media and I asked a couple of people. And my buddy JB, Josh, said Leslie Nielsen.
Really?
Yeah. I had a few trolls. Lance Allen said Gerard Butler.
Oh, yeah, Dracula 2000.
And there's another troll. What was it? It was Manuel Mendolia. What did he say? Oh, he said the dude that plays Heatwave that was in Blade Trinity. Dominic Purcell or something like
Purcell,
that?
yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, James? Favorite movie, Dracula?
I mean, obviously, I'm going to go with Bella. I mean, he's the best, and he sold it with the eyes.
The eyes.
But didn't they use some trick or whatever to make his eyes look like shiny or glowing? Didn't they put a hole in some boxes or something?
They took
It's
a
called
box.
the eye light.
Yeah. They cut out 2 holes in some cardboard or something and put it in front of a light. Yeah. That's what they did.
It's called a cucularis.
A cucularis is what it's called.
I thought that was
Duh.
a sexy dance.
No. It's where you cut. And nowadays, they're actually made out of metal. But yeah, it'll be metal, and I'll have a pattern on it. Like they can do like fake window blinds and stuff on them.
Where I come from, we
Yeah.
put holes in boxes for different reasons.
You know, it is also a sexy dance. Speaking of sexy dances, Justin, what's your answer?
Hey, what was the question? Oh, the Dracula.
Who's your favorite actor?
Christopher
that
Lee.
portrayed? Oh, that's right.
From the Hammer horror films.
Yeah, the voice.
The ones I
Just-
made.
Because of the voice.
The voice. is
See, I
just too
picked Bela
good.
Lugosi mostly because of the voice and the iconic look. But Christopher Lee's performance is amazing.
Yeah.
Really cool stuff.
Yeah, I forgot he did all
Tall,
the
dark, and gruesome.
Those bloody
It's just-
eyes.
Those bloody, they
Yeah.
made his eyes very red. How much cocaine did they give him?
I think he smoked a lot of pot for him,
Probably.
and they made him believe he really was Dracula.
Speaking of movie Draculas, Dracula has been a staple in cinematic fiction for a very, very long time now. In fact, the very first portrayal of Dracula in cinema was 1921. Not Nosferatu. It's Dracula's Death, which was an original story, so it wasn't quite an adaptation of Bram Stoker's novel, but it was based on the character named Dracula. Dracula's Death, 1921. In 22, we did get Nosferatu, which starred Max Schreck. Super creepy movie. Really effective. I really think that movie is really good. Hamilton D, of course, put on the play. Hamilton Dean put on the play in 1924. Of course, John L. Balderson reimagined that play in 1927. Both of those ideas of that play where they took Rainfield and replaced him with Jonathan Harker from the beginning of the novel. They combined Lucy and Mina into one character. A lot of that stuff went on into Todd Browning's 1931 Universal Pictures classic Dracula, starring Bela Lugosi. At the same time, of course, they were making the Spanish version of Dracula, which is cheesier than the Bela Lugosi Todd Browning version, but has some really cool camera tricks and really neat camera movement, which is very rare back in the early days of film. Hammer, of course, with Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing playing Van Helsing. Edward Van Sloan played Van Helsing in the Universal movies. They also spawned a lot of sequels like Dracula's Daughter. Excellent film. Totally got to check that out. Also, Son of Dracula, House of Dracula. Great movies. Really fun stuff.
Dracula of Dracula.
Yes.
Little unknown film.
But the Hammer films did it with Christopher Lee, Horror of Dracula. They did a whole lot of movies. Frank Langella's version came in 1979, also from Universal Pictures. And then there were a lot of little things here and there, but in 1992, big deal, Francis Ford Coppola did Bram Stoker's Dracula with Gary Oldman. Very surprised nobody said Gary Oldman, because he did a fantastic Dracula.
He was my second.
Yeah, he did a really good job as Dracula, as of 2009. So we're a little outdated here. Dracula is the second most used character in movies. 217 films as of 2009 made.
What about serials?
Starring Dracula. I don't know about serials.
That's Chocula.
Count Chocula is one of them. He is second only to Sherlock Holmes, who at the time had 223. So he's right there. Like one of the most iconic characters in fiction. Of course, created by Bram Stoker. Tell us a little bit about Bram Stoker, who he was. Justify, Justin.
Well, many of the events of Bram Stoker's life are still a mystery and open to speculation. Most biographers have had to rely on public records to determine the interest and the life of the author, thus prompting several of his biographers to write Stoker has long remained one of the least known authors of one of the best known books ever written.
Good quote.
We do know...
Sounds like a cop-out to me.
We didn't want to research
the end
what
of
they're
the
saying.
We do know, though, that he was born on November 8th, 1847.
We didn't know anything about him except the exact fucking time and date he was born.
He was the third son of 7 children, and he was real sickly and bedridden as a child. But eventually he grew to over 6 feet in height and became very athletic and muscular.
Did you say 1847?
Yeah.
So he was 50 when he released Dracula then.
Correct.
Interesting.
Was Dracula released in 1897?
Yes, it was.
Then correct.
Because it's the 120th anniversary of Dracula, everybody.
That's true. He went to college in Dublin, Ireland, and graduated with honors in science, and then later returned for a master's.
Oh.
Thus, why Dracula is such a scientific book.
Yeah. He worked as a drama critic for a while with the theater. Like he went and saw plays and told people how good or bad they were.
Yeah.
Like
A
critics
critic?
do.
I hope he sat in the front and like blocked other people from saying.
He also worked for the Irish Civil Service, which his father also did, and I assume that's like a cop or a post office worker or something like that.
Yeah, probably. Garbage man.
Let me see. I took
All 3.
Window washer.
Yeah, something.
I've come to wash your windows.
Garbage cleaner.
Poop scooper.
Yeah.
From the horses.
Yeah, back in the day. Yeah, for sure.
In 1878, he married Florence Balcombe, who had the choice of marrying either him or Oscar Wilde.
What a weird... She had a fucking coin, and she's like, "Who am I going to pick?" Of
Yeah,
these
I mean,
writers?"
you got a choice of Bram Stoker or Oscar Wilde. Who you gonna
she
pick?
went for Stoker.
Stoker was 31 at the time.
And never had a wild night again.
How old was Wilde at the time?
Well, Wilde was 7 years younger than him. I'm not sure how old she was because I was doing research on him and not her. And even though he got the girl, Oscar Wilde was still a big enough man to be friends with him, so that they still hung out.
Very
And
nice.
he admitted Stoker into his literary group.
They used to do a podcast together. in
And
fact.
they did. They recorded it on tree limbs.
It was Wild with Stoker. Stoked to be wild.
But through Oscar
morning.
Wilde's group, he met all kinds of prominent authors, including Doyle, Alfred Lord Tennyson, Mark Twain, and even once met Theodore Roosevelt.
Good old TR.
He had
Friend
one
of the show.
Yeah.
he had one child in 1879, a boy named Noel, or Noel, however you want to pronounce it.
Was he an angel? Because if he's an angel, it's Noel.
He published his first substantial literary effort in 1882. It was called Under the Sunset, and it was a collection of tales for children, which is not really a departure.
But they were
from
all
his other work
vampire
because it was
tales.
first.
What?
Yeah.
Vampire tales for children.
Or Tales for Vampire Children.
Interesting. They're children forever, so they'd have to write a lot of stories.
Does their mind mature, though? Like, would you have an adult mind? Because you've lived, like, 50
Yeah.
years, even though you're
But
a
you're
child.
still trapped in the body of a child.
Do they have a tiny penis or have an adult penis?
You have a tiny one.
We're talking about now or from a vampire?
Both.
That's the last time I show Robbie my penis. It's for charity.
There wasn't. He
won't be
he
the
wrote
last
a
time.
he wrote a lot of stuff, and Dracula was the one that was most popular. He didn't think that was his best book, but obviously it was because we're still talking about it.
Well, I mean, you can still not be his best book.
120 years
120
later.
years later. He died pretty quickly.
Oh, there's more to this.
We're skipping ahead. We're at the end. He died pretty quickly. His health,
he's
health
dead.
deteriorated
How old
really,
was he
really
when he
fast.
passed away?
Like he died really quickly. Like he was like, "Hey, everybody."
In 1912. He died on 4/20, 1912.
What?
Yeah, so there you go.
Was he on the reefers?
He was getting stoked.
So he's what,
Maybe
65?
that's
Is that what, if I do the math? 65 years old?
Yeah, when did I?
Depends on where he died.
I think he was 130.
Oh, impressive.
Yeah.
Doing
He's
the
still
math.
alive
Oh,
today.
64.
He is a vampire.
No, he was 64.
Okay, yeah, he turned 65. Yeah.
64.
But the cause of death is actually
That seems
clouded
really
in
old
mystery.
for that time.
Sanguination.
6400s. Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty old for back then. But a lot of biographers, they argue about it. But his death certificate cites
Blood loss?
locomotor
Death.
locomotor ataxia, known in these days as general paralysis of the insane, which implies that he contracted syphilis and went insane and died from syphilis. But that's not 100%. It may or may not be true.
So you could be
Mystery.
spreading fucking lies.
Very interesting. If only Robert Stack were here.
Indeed.
Because that's an unsolved mystery.
Interesting man.
In honor of vampires and Dracula, who was part of the undead, let's have a little bit of dead air.
So the listeners would just tune out. Move on to a different channel.
All right, so we talked about Dracula movies a little bit earlier, and I want to ask you guys, what are your favorite Dracula movies? We apparently all of us like Bela Lugosi. Some of us like Christopher Lee. Out of all these movies that we mentioned earlier, and maybe even some more, like Dracula 2000, and Dracula Dead and Loving It, things like that. What's your favorite Dracula movie? Jumpin' to Java James?
Well, I mean, honestly, it's going to be the Dracula from 1931. Although I do really enjoy watching the Spanish version just for the good camera work.
Yeah.
Where they actually make the camera move.
I'm right there with you. I love the 31 version.
Or the
I think it's
excessive
nice.
use of churros.
What about you then, John?
It's actually about the chupacabra, the whole movie. Pay attention. The goat sucker.
Mine would actually, one of my favorites is not a Dracula movie, but does have Dracula in it. Monster Squad.
Oh.
I love me some Monster Squad.
Wolfman's got nards.
Because that version
you're
of
right,
Dracula
Dracula's
is
in there.
amazing, and it's definitely inspired by like Lugosi and that style of Dracula, the costume and the hair and everything. But he's awesome in it, and that's my favorite.
He's really good.
Yeah, I like Bela Lugosi. What
about the guy from Van Helsing?
The one I haven't
I'm
seen.
just kidding. That guy was over the top, though.
Yeah, I've still not seen Dracula Untold, so I feel like I skipped that one. I would like to check it out at some point in
A
time.
lot of people did.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people did, but I'd like to at least check it out. So I feel like I've seen a lot of Dracula movies, maybe not all of them, and that was one of the newer ones that I missed.
Another one, it just popped in my head, and I forgot all about this, but like I didn't write down this dude's name, so I don't know. But TNT or somebody did a made-for-TV movie about Dracula, the true story. It was called like Dracula the Dark Prince, and it was about like the origin of Dracula, like who Vlad the Impaler was.
Him and his
brother Raoul, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Goddamn Raoul.
it was a great
fucking
movie.
everything up.
And the guy that played Dracula in that movie is so good. He actually played Dracula in Buffy the Vampire Slayer in season 5. And it was so good. The guy's performance is so amazing. Cannot figure out who that is. I'm sure by segment 3, I'll be able to give the name. Justin, what about you? Favorite Dracula movie?
I would like to be able to say one of the older ones, but it's been so long since I've seen any of them. I've only seen like 3 or 4 of the older ones. So I'd have to say my favorite is
Dracula
Bram
2000.
Stoker. Bram Stoker's Dracula.
It's a more faithful adaptation of the book than the ones that came before, for sure. Really is.
Probably Prince of Darkness is the one that if I'm thinking back to old
The
Dracula
Hammer
movies,
films.
that's the one I kind of remember seeing some as a kid. But yeah, Bram Stoker's my
Absolutely.
favorite.
So, of course, we're talking about Dracula because it's the 120th anniversary of said character, but we are also talking about Halloween because it is the Haunted Halloween Super Spooktacular Special! So if you're out there doing some trick-or-treating, going to a party, hanging out, doing your thing, you might want to be safe out there, everybody. So here with some safety tips for this Halloween is Hammertime Holshoe.
Stick a bear trap out in your yard.
Catch the trick-or-treaters. So here's some safety and just helpful tricks.
Trips, huh?
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Advice.
Huntsville to Atlanta is a good, helpful trip.
So here's some helpful advice, safety tips if you're out trick-or-treating. So the first one is, and like myself, I was worried about bullies when you were trick-or-treating. You know, bigger guys beating you up, taking your candy. So what you do is you fill your bag full of spiders, mouse traps, and spoiled rotten meat. And then they'll still take your stuff, but they'll think about it twice before they take it from you next year.
Spoiled meat.
Yeah, and mouse traps and live traps. Put live traps in
And
your
spiders.
bag. And spiders.
Yeah,
Nobody likes those
That's
things.
brilliant.
So sometimes people don't like to go out at night. They get spooked. It's scary at night. I agree there. So if you're really scared about going trick-or-treating at night, what you do is you get up on Halloween at like fucking 7 a.m. and you go trick-or-treating. So you go door to door.
That's
you know,
great.
you beat everybody to the punch. On top of that,
You get the best
Get all
candy.
the
yeah,
stuff.
you're gonna get
There
some
is
angry,
no punch at 7 a.m.
You're gonna get some angry people. But if you beg and plead, they'll at least give you something, perhaps eggs, pickled ham. They'll give you something just to get you to go away. It may be candy. Who knows? You know, and you're gonna get some bad looks. But at least you're out during the day. It's safer that way. You're not getting hit by a car.
Pickled ham.
Yeah, you might get a pickled ham. So that's traditionally what they give out.
Some
in the-
olive
Which we'll
loaf.
be
Early in the
serving
day.
that at the PCP Halloween party.
So if you're less worried about the dark, this is tip number 3, and more worried about ghouls and demons, you can avoid this issue by just accepting Satan, joining the dark side. That is right. You can't beat them. Join them. There are no Satanists that are scared on Halloween night. I assure you that. So accept the Dark Lord, and you'll be protected by him and his followers.
Very nice. I
You
like
can't be
that.
scared. And the last but not least is if you're worried about less about the trick-or-treating itself and more worried about getting like razor blades in your candy, well, all you got to do is send your candy to us here at the Huntsville Attic.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll inspect the candy and all the stuff that is safe and we don't want. We will return to you.
Yeah.
So go ahead and send your candy to Huntsville Attic, P.O. Box 105, Huntsville, Alabama, 35810. And again, anything that's safe and we don't like. So you're going to get a lot of those fucking hard peanut butter things.
No, you won't, because I like those.
Oh, it likes those. So you're going to get
Do-
random Smarties.
You're going to get a lot of vanilla Tootsie Rolls.
Yeah.
Do we have a P.O. box?
Apparently.
We will soon.
I wonder-
We will soon.
I wonder who
We
has
should
P.O.
do
Box
that.
105. We do need to get a P.O. Box.
Somebody is going to be getting a
Don't
lot
send
of
it.
Halloween
Just
candy.
just send us a message if you want to send it.
Yeah, we'll meet you somewhere.
And do a dead drop somewhere.
Yeah.
Those are some great safety tips.
Yeah,
John.
we'll be riding around in a white van that says "We take free candy" on the side.
All right, everybody. So that brings us to our next break. But before we do that, it's time for the thought of the day. Tonight's thought of the day.
Was that a cat in heat? Is that what that was?
Tonight's thought of the day comes from, appropriately, Bram Stoker, and from the novel Dracula, or as they say in the old country, Dracula.
Rat Kool-Aid?
Yes.
Rat Kool-Aid.
It's rat Kool-Aid.
Rat Kool-Aid.
There are darknesses in life, and there are lights. And you are one of the lights. The light of all lights. We'll be right here on the 6th annual Haunted Halloween Super Spooktacular special right after this News Minute. Halloween. Rockin Robbie. Woo! Yeah! Woo!
Good evening, everybody. Walter Chronicpipe here with a News Minute. Authorities have alerted residents in Haddonfield, Illinois of a potential developing situation. A patient at the Smith Grove Warren County Sanitarium has escaped after killing some of the nurses and doctors on staff. The patient is believed to be in hiding in Haddonfield and is to be considered extremely dangerous. In Oregon, residents of a small town are perplexed as the mortuary at Morningside Cemetery has mysteriously vanished overnight. The mortuary had recently been accused by some residents of illegal grave digging and corpse mutilation. Police can find no evidence as to the cause of the mortuary's disappearance. The SS Lazarus, a steamer carrying a group of New Jersey high schoolers, has burned and sank on its journey to New York City. All passengers and crew are missing and believed to be dead. Authorities in New York adamantly insist that the ship's sinking has little to do with last night's toxic waste overflow in the city's sewer system. And finally, residents in Grover's Mill, New Jersey are reporting odd occurrences in their area. Some residents are claiming to have seen objects fall from the sky, with one farmer even stating that he saw creatures exiting some type of craft at a crash site. Since these reports, communications with Grover's Mill has ceased, and authorities are en route to the area to determine the cause of the events. This has been Walter Chronic Pipe. Happy Halloween.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Haunted Halloween Super Spooktacular Special 6th Annual 2017 edition. Here on Rockin' with Rockin Robbie, I am Rockin Robbie. With me, as usual, is Justify Justin.
It's hard to believe that we've done 6 2017 specials.
You haven't.
You haven't.
You haven't, but I have, along with Jumpin and Jivin James.
Did you say Jappin and Jivin?
Don't get ahead of yourself, sir. Remember, some people are still, a little bit
I
ahead.
said 6th annual 2017 special.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That implies we've had 6.
Yeah, but you haven't.
Why don't you take your thumb out of your penis hole and listen to us?
Also with us, fan favorite, Hammertime Holshoe.
Indeed.
So, it's the Haunted Halloween Super Spooktacular Special. Everything's about Halloween. Of course, the 120th Anniversary of Dracula we are celebrating tonight. So, Halloween's right around the corner. And
literally, I can see it from here.
Yes. And some people, first of all, what are you going to be for Halloween this year, James? You got an idea?
I'm thinking the chef from...
From the Muppets?
That would be awesome.
No, I was going to say the chef from...
The Muppets?
No, the first day of camp, Wet Hot American Summer.
Oh, nice.
So all I gotta do is just get a cut off sweatshirt and a
I think he's got a
tight
kid.
apron.
You also need
and then put a bandana on. I'm good to go.
Yeah, if you really want to send that over the top, can of mixed vegetables.
Oh, dude, that would be
down.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea. What about you, Justin? What are you doing this year?
I got no idea.
Oh. Do you have no
wait,
idea? Or
wait,
just not wanting to
You
tell us?
seriously, it's not going to be Tony Stark?
It's gonna no.
Oh, he hasn't done that for years.
Literally
He
2
was
years
Snake,
now.
He was Snake
2
Plissken last year.
2 years.
He was Snake Plissken last year. The year before that, he was Gomez Adams.
Why don't you go as old bitch?
Oh, 3 years. Excuse me.
What about you, John?
I'm gonna
He's going to dress as Rivers
tuck.
Cuomo.
I'm gonna tuck my penis, and I'm gonna get a
be Buffalo Bill?
I'm gonna get a Hawaiian shirt. I'm gonna go with Justin Goldsmith.
Oh, I thought you were going way different way with that.
Well, that's kind of messed up because I'm
just put
going
a cross to
to
you.
go as one half of the Blues Brothers, which I thought John was going to be the other half, but apparently that's not happening.
No, I'm going as half of the Blues Brothers.
Okay.
I'm gonna change halfway through the night. I'm gonna start as Goldsmith, and then do the Blues Brothers.
I think it'd be better to start as the Blues Brothers and then you end.
Well, I'm gonna end with the can of mixed fruit to compliment
Mixed
James's
fruit or
costume.
vegetables?
I don't know whatever it was.
Well, if you're like Justin, you don't quite know yet what you're going to do for Halloween. I got some great costume tips for you. I got some great ones. Number 1, Dracula. Right? How easy is that? Seriously, these are great last
And
minute.
nice little
you just
jewel.
you don't even
Good to
need
go.
that. You just need a cape and a nice suit.
You got to paint that Widow's Peak thing on. I have that naturally going on.
Yeah,
people paint that on with
if you want to do that.
marker.
But it's a super easy costume, right?
Yeah.
I've been Dracula before on Halloween. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, plenty
young,
of them.
yeah.
Absolutely.
It's super easy costume. You should totally do it. Another easy one you can do is protester. It's kind of in right now. You can just come up in normal street clothes, have a sign saying, I protest this Halloween. That'd be hilarious, right?
Have somebody hand you a Pepsi.
Yeah, absolutely. How about Tom Cruise from Risky Business? That's an easy one.
Oh yeah.
Just need some tall socks, white dress shirt. That's very
some
close to
whitey
your.
tighties.
Make sure your
that's very
underwear
close to your
doesn't
Justin
have
Goldsmith
the
shirt.
Skid marks on it.
That's very close to your Justin Goldsmith costume.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good one. Also, you could be a Best Buy or a Target employee. Just wear some khakis and a blue or a red polo shirt. Super easy. You can be a bag of jelly beans. This is something my mom did one time. You just get a big trash
Balloons?
bag and fill it with different colored balloons.
I think you're going to say jelly. Just fill it with jelly beans.
Or just fill it with jelly beans, right? You could take the same concept, get a clear trash bag, put it around you, and fill it up with crumpled up bits of white paper, your white trash. Get it? That's kind of funny. Throwing back to the very first 6 years ago, how Halloween special we did. Kinky Kevin gave us a couple good ideas that stuck with me. Get a bunch of guys, all four of us. We just dress all in green. We're gang green. I like that.
Like
I
the
like
Grove
that one.
Street Boys. I like it.
I kind of like that one. Another one you can do is you can just simply tape $1 to each ear, and you're a buccaneer. Yeah, I like that one. All right.
Good night, everybody.
All right, I got two more for you.
Do
Then.
you have a cricket sound on your phone?
If those are too lame and safe for you, I got two more. Number one, you could be a glory hole. Just show up, plank of wood, cut out a hole, put a fake penis in there, or a real, depending on the type of party you're going to. You're a glory hole, right? I guess that's all right. But my favorite costume, if you're last minute, seriously, just put some underwear on the outside of your pants, make some fake blood stains on the backside of it, and you are the Bill of Rights. So anyway, we were talking about Dracula, and Dracula may be based on a real historical figure, Vlad the Impaler. Luckily, John's high school nickname was Vlad the Impaler, and he's going to tell us a little bit
It was
about...
because my big Johnson.
And his preference for
I
certain
murder
time of the
people.
month
I also
for
murder.
girls.
I also murder people.
Tell us about Vlad the Impaler.
John. Really, buddy?
James, really?
So I actually looked up Vlad the Impaler.
The Impala?
I think they're a
If I had an
band
Impala-
from Brooklyn.
If I had an Impala, I would
Vlad
totally
the
get a
Impala.
vanity plate that says Vlad.
So Vlad the Third, known affectionately to his friends as Vlad the Impaler, or
Tepished.
or Vlad Dracula. Well, he was the prince 3 times between 1448 and his death of is it Wallachia? Wallachia?
No, you're talking about the bank as Wachovia.
God damn it.
Oh,
Anyway,
wait, no. Where's the Dr. Doom's from?
Wallachia?
Latveria?
Latveria.
God damn
No,
it.
it's Wallachia.
I think it's Wallachia.
Wallachia.
Wallachia sounds right. We'll go with that. That looks right.
Just say Romania.
I don't know. It's now Romania. It is now Romania. So his nickname comes from his father. So his father was Vlad II. His father's name was, they called him Vlad the Dragon because he was a member of Order of the Dragon. And so he was Dracula because it meant, what it means is son of the dragon. So that's where you get Vlad Dracula. So he's nicknamed after his father.
Nice.
He was the second legitimate son of Vlad II. Yeah, he's Vlad the Third.
What was his older brother name? George.
Stuart. I don't remember.
Are you talking about Raul? Was Raul an older brother? or a younger
Alexander.
brother?
Alexander was the older brother.
Okay.
He had several brothers, but Alexander was the one that was in power until he died, and then Vlad took over. So we'll get to that. So, he was born in Transylvania. We don't know when he was born exactly, but his father moved to Transylvania in 1429.
What was the zip code?
It was 35.
I thought it was
86
Transylvania
8675.
5,000.
God damn it.
Oh my god.
So, anyway, he seized control of whatever that place is, after the death of his half brother, Alexander, in 1436.
The lesser.
Yeah, him and his family opposed the Ottoman Empire, and they supported.
Do they not like kicking their feet up?
They supported Vlad. They supported the then king of Poland and Hungary, and
Yes.
they actually fought in the Crusade of Varna in 1444. By 1462, he was at war with the Ottomans, of course, and I'm sorry. So they had the Ottomans had a much bigger, much stronger army than Vlad and his people, and the people who opposed them. So what he would do is he would hide in the forest and use savage guerrilla tactics
He had savage gorillas?
Yeah, he would and he would also
Like
poison
Grodd.
wells. He would also poison wells, burn crops, and he even paid diseased men to infiltrate the Ottoman ranks.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, and he got his nickname Vlad the Impaler because when his crew would actually kill people, they would actually impale them, hundreds of them, and on these big poles and leave them. I don't know if it was sort of like a, hey, don't fuck with us. We're impaling these people. And the rumor too was that
he was the original T.I. He was
the rumor
gangster.
that he was that he and not only did he impale these people, but the rumor was that he would dine on the blood of the impaled.
He would dip his bread.
Yeah, that he
in
would
their
dip
blood.
his bread in it. There's not a whole lot to substantiate that because the records, unfortunately, there's a lot of detail missing, and there's also a lot of rumors.
I swear to God, it looked like you were about to try to like flip a page on your tablet there.
So, and then these dark tales of him impaling people, and leading these militaries, really inspired the novelist Bram Stoker, who, in of course, 1897, we know penned the novel, because the biggest thing is that his book takes place in Transylvania, which is the birthplace of Vlad, and they have the same nickname, which is Dracula. That's probably where it ends. So a lot of history has been skewed by fictional accounts of Vlad. But he was, in Romania, some people, it's like he was a hero because he fought against the Roman Empire, or the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire. But some people don't see him. They see him as just being like, well, he was just, trying to fight for his land, and he did some things that were greedy, or he even killed people to prove a point.
A public hero in Romania
It depends.
today?
He used to be, but history's releasing more and more things that say, you know what, he wasn't this great guy that you think he is. They were saying he even killed people just to show off that he was this powerful character.
So he was an Abraham Lincoln and became a Richard Nixon.
Or Robert E. Lee.
Or Donald Trump.
Yeah. Or Abraham Nixon.
But never mind. Let's not go
Abraham
there.
Also, and Robbie might have mentioned this, he had a really cool castle.
Yeah, he had a really cool castle. Which there was a series. It was a book that I read many times, especially when I first read the book Dracula. It was called In Search of Dracula. And I think they did a documentary about it.
Yeah.
They're trying to find his castle. And what they believe is his castle recently sold for an ungodly amount of money. Get it? Ungodly?
Was it in Transylvania or was it in Turkey? Because he had a castle in Turkey.
He had a bunch of different, and he fought against the Ottoman Empire. Now, the Ottoman Empire eventually was Turkey, right? Mm-hmm. So they went from footstools to Turkish delights.
What? Yeah, just keep going with your
Where's
story.
your
Anyway,
sound?
That's a great presentation. So real quick, because Vlad, and what I heard is that Bram Stoker basically wrote this novel, had it all in his head, did all these notes, did all this research, vampire folklore and all this stuff, and he wanted to take a historical figure to base it on. And Vlad Dracul, or Vlad Tepes, was an easy figure, right? And obviously that's where the name comes from. And
Well, Dracul was his dad. He was
Dracul.
Dracula.
Yeah, he was Dracula, the son of the dragon.
Which is also, in itself, just sounds fucking cool. Son of the
super
Dragon.
cool, son of the dragon. Like,
What a cool nickname.
Yeah.
I would fucking use that if I get away with this.
I'm
Sounds
Dracula.
kind of more like a Bruce Lee movie, though.
Yeah. But of course, Dracula now has a Hungarian accent because of Bela Lugosi. He's got that brilliant accent. It's amazing. I'm Vlad Dracula. Really cool stuff going on with Vlad the Impaler. We've been talking about Dracula all night. Let's just do a brief segment here real quick. Other movie vampires that are cool. Because vampires are throughout movies. And Dracula is the most represented vampire in movies, in cinema. But there's a whole lot more. So let's get into some of our other favorite movie vampires. Why don't you start us off, Justified Justin?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't really research this topic very much because I thought it'd be easier to converse about it.
Well, I think that you have seen some vampire movies. Does anything pop up in your head, or are you waiting for us to start naming them for you?
You guys start talking, I'll come.
All right.
dive
What
in.
about you, Jumpin' and Jivin' James? At least you're honest, Justin.
Yeah, there you go.
Didn't do your research.
Yeah,
You little fucker.
a busy week.
You little impaler.
I think one of my favorite other ones would be one that you mentioned. One that we mentioned earlier. The Let the Right One In is a really good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The foreign film, not the.
Well, Let Me In is phenomenal, too. They're both based on the same book. They're not remakes. They're both based on the same book.
I haven't seen Let Me In, but Let the Right One In is such an effective
Well,
film.
They're both great.
The title of the movie is very key
Oh, yeah.
because it's Let the Right One In.
But have you seen Let Me
and
In?
the kid does not let the right one in.
Yeah, have you seen Let Me In, though?
I never wanted to watch it.
The biggest difference is the other film. There's a scene where he's in the back of the car. There's one of the most intense fucking scenes in movie history is in that movie. I forget that actor. He's in so much stuff, and he plays the father type figure who's not the father.
Frank Langella.
I think that's it.
Well, in the European version, though, that scene in the swimming pool area is very, very intense.
Oh yeah, that's intense in that movie.
What about that cat scene? The cats? Oh my! You've seen the original?
Yeah,
film,
yeah, I've seen both films.
Yeah, amazing stuff.
So they're both good in their own right, and they both have scenes that set them out from each other.
What about you, Hammertime Holshoe?
Well, besides Let Me In and Let the Right One In, The Lost Boys.
Oh, right.
It was great. We did a movie night not too long about that. I think
Brilliant
it's a great cast, too.
30th anniversary this year.
Yeah, and it's a really cool film. Fright Night, I think is great. The original, I actually enjoyed the remake. I don't think it needed to be remade, but I did enjoy the remake. Especially since the remake, the remake is also in 3D, which is awesome.
It was, and it was actually good in the way that they take the suburbs of Vegas, and they have that like Deadlands kind of sense to it. And seriously, David Tennant as Peter Vincent. Oh my god!
And also, you were talking about DuckTales earlier.
Woohoo! Yeah,
he's Scrooge McDuck now.
He is Scrooge McDuck now.
Oh yeah.
And speaking of Fright Night. I can't remember the cat's name, but he passed away. He played Chekhov in the new ones. He was the main star of that movie.
Yeah. He also did Trolls right before he died.
Yeah. But the original film is great, too. It's got Herman from Herman's Head in it.
Yeah.
And Mannequin 2.
I really like the original.
Chris Sarandon is the vampire, though. He's amazing. He's really fun. Mm-hmm. And he's in the remake. He's the guy that they kill on the highway. He's the guy that the vampire kills on the highway.
Didn't even put that together.
Colin Farrell does a great job in that.
Yeah,
remake.
he does.
Yeah.
30 Days of Night, I really enjoyed. It was kind of a different take on the vampire.
I read the comic book. I've never seen the movie.
The movie I really like. It's got Josh Hartnett.
Yeah.
Is that his name?
Hartnett.
Hartnett.
I think they used
Josh Cowlick Hartnett. Josh Cowlick Hotnet.
Hotnet. Yes.
Blade.
Oh yeah.
The Blade movie is not only vampires. It doesn't even actually fight Dracula in the comics, but isn't there a Dracula in the movies?
In part 3.
But it's not really Heatwave, the same actor, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it is.
Oh, that's a terrible
and it's bad. But
miscast.
we didn't really get on comic books tonight, but Tomb of Dracula is one of my favorite comic books of all time, and that's where Blade first appeared, number 10.
And one that I think most people haven't seen, which is a phenomenal film, it's What We Do in the Shadows. If you haven't seen that film, it is hilarious. It's basically modern-day vampires, and it's them trying to get through modern life, and then they go to a bar to hang out, and they have to be invited in. It's hilarious. It has a great cast. One of the guys is from Flight of the Conchords, Darby Rice, whatever his name is, the comedian's the other. It is so damn funny. Watch What We Do in the Shadows. And the special effects are great.
Me personally, I love vampire movies from the 80s. So like you guys said, Lost Boys, fantastic movie. Love that. Fright Night, cool movie. Love that one too. Don't forget about the comedies. My Best Friend's a Vampire and Once Bitten.
Once Bitten.
Oh, dude. It's Once Bitten. Which one's with Jim Carrey?
One of them's with
Jim
Carrey.
Once
That's
Bitten.
Once Bitten. My Best Friend's a Vampire is with the dude that's in House and in Dead Poets Society. Sean Leonard? Sean something. No. I don't know. That guy.
Haven't you guys seen What We Do in the Shadows?
I just fucking said that.
You did? I'm sorry, I was looking at my phone.
Oh my god! Are you even here? Are you even here with us?
I was looking up something else.
Yes, it's
seriously
great.
like
It's phenomenal.
2 minutes he talked about that movie.
I'm talking
It is
right now.
so good.
It's really good.
Yeah. Okay.
John's right.
God damn it!
Also, Don't Sleep. Same year as Lost Boys, 30 years ago.
Don't sleep on it.
Near Dark.
Near Dark.
Near
It's
Dark.
an amazing movie.
Near
Talking
Dark.
about Lance Hendrickson.
Yeah, Bishop.
Amazing.
He'll always be Bishop. Sorry.
Also, amazing director.
Yeah. Catherine Bigelow.
Catherine Bigelow.
Near Dark is a great movie with a really bad ending. But I love Near Dark. I think it's a great vampire film.
Deuce Bigelow's mom.
One of the best. Kind of like a little bit of a Western type thing. It's got Bill Paxton in it as Severin. Amazing.
How can you not like
Homer,
Bill Paxton?
the perpetually 12-year-old vampires from that movie. Great movie. Love it so much. Interesting side bit here. Lance Hendrickson, as he was researching this role, since it was a very low-budget, independent type film, he had to transport himself across country to get to filming, right? And so he did it driving. He drove, and he was growing his nails out. He was getting into character. And one of the ways he got into character is that he would pick up hitchhikers and act like this badass vampire character to these hitchhikers and scare them out of his car. That's what he did to get in the mood for this role. And a quick shout out to a Hammer horror
He's lucky
film.
he wasn't murdered.
Hammer horror film, one of my favorite Hammer horror films, actually. Captain Kronos, Vampire Hunter.
Amazing.
Super cool movie where they have all so there are different types of vampire in this world, and Captain Kronos is a Blade type figure, which, by the way, the vampires in Blade, especially Blade 2, amazing. Super, super scary. Very cool. Deacon Frost by Stephen Dorff is another one of my favorite cinematic vampires. But in Captain Kronos Vampire Hunter, there's different types of vampires, and these different types of vampires require different types of ways to kill them, right? So they kill one of these vampires, and as they're trying to kill him, they stake him, they hang him, they burn him, they put silver on. They try all these different ways to kill this one vampire, and this poor vampire is like just regenerating every time until they finally figure out how to kill him. Great movies, love them so much. So I want to thank you guys for checking out the Haunted Halloween Super Spooktacular special, all about Dracula, vampires, all that cool stuff. And we gave you some party tips, we gave you some costume tips, we gave you some safety tips. But
Just the tip.
if you're having a Halloween party, if you're having trick-or-treaters over or anything like that, you might want to give them some nice treats. Because just as much as Halloween is about the tricks, it's more about the treats. So, our resident chef here at PCP, Jumpin and Jivin James, is going to tell us a little bit about Halloween treat tips for you guys.
All right, did a little research. Came up with a couple cool looking things. So, claw cupcakes. So, basic standard white cupcake with frosting on top. And then you take a toothpick and you scratch claw marks on top. And then you fill those with like a strawberry jam or something so it looks like you have bleeding cupcakes.
Possibly even a raspberry tart.
Exactly.
If you cut yourself while making them, no one's going to know the better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Easy cover up. Candy corn pudding pops.
What? Get the fuck out.
What did you just say?
Is candy corn pudding a thing? First off, already?
No.
That's just called sugar pudding.
Yeah.
You're gonna take
That was
vanilla
my nickname
and
in high school, was candy corn pudding.
like a white chocolate pudding, and then you're gonna take one of them and color them orange, and then you just put them in molds like you would normally with like make pudding pops.
Yeah. that's a
Sounds
good
delicious.
idea.
Pudding pops in general.
And then a Halloween bark where you take white chocolate, melt it, and then you take some creepy looking Halloween candies and put them on top like eyeballs and stuff, and then you kind of swirl some red color through so it kind of looks like
Actual spiders, put them in there.
gross like leftover carnage of a mass murder.
Wow.
And then two of my other favorites though were the graveyard trifle where you take like bake like a chocolate cake and then you take a large glass bowl and you crumble it up and you put different layers of cake and frosting and all that
Put
stuff.
some gummy worms in
And then
there.
you put some gummy worms and then
okay.
get some little candy bones and stuff to be sticking out of it. Maybe
make
a
some
little hand.
tombstones. Yeah.
Go fun with it. And then bloody chocolate cups. So you get like a mold for like a Reese's type cup. Then instead fill it with like a really dense raspberry jam. So when you bite into it, it kind of like oozes out dark red.
Yeah. Or a cherry tart.
Or actual blood.
Or blood,
Save you some money.
Those are some good ones, man. Those are really good. I hope you bring some of those to the PCP Halloween party this year.
I'm thinking
Those
about
sound
it.
delicious. Another one of my favorites is to get a Chex Mix, because a Chex Mix is always a good thing, right? There's never a party more awesome
Is there more
than
to
a
this?
party
Like
with
put
Chex
something
Mix.
on Chex
No,
Mix?
like,
Or just,
you,
is Chex Mix
you
a
have the
sponsor?
Chex Mix.
You
Chex
get
Mix a
bugles
sponsor?
and you color them all green.
Yeah, and you say they're witches.
Witch fingers.
Witch fingers.
You're going to say something else. You were going to say
No,
fingers.
that's what I was going to say. That's
Fucking
really what I was
nightmare.
going to say. You got bugles, and you say they're witch fingers, and then to add a little bit of authenticity to them, you grow your fingernails out really long before the Halloween party, you clip them, and put them in the Chex Mix.
Oh, God, that sounds so terrible.
We're doing that for the Halloween party, everybody.
Don't eat
Done
don't eat
and
bugles here,
done.
guys.
So thank you guys for checking out the 6th annual Haunted Halloween Super Spooktacular
Yeah.
Special! Here in Rockin' with Rockin Robbie, a YouTube exclusive. Be sure to check us out at popculturephilosophers.com for podcast, blogs, top 5 lists, and a whole lot more. We got Pop Culture Philosophers coming up very, very soon. 70s horror, if it's not already out. And after that, Stephen King movies and works of fiction and novels and stuff. Really super fun stuff. Super excited. Super. Rockin' Robbie. We will be back here very soon with another Rockin' Robbie. And we're going to be doing, and I want everybody that's here right now to be here for this, All About the Benjamins Part 4!
Hey, LMAO.
Absolutely.
Woo-hoo.
Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for joining me. Justified Justin.
Hey.
Jumpin' and Jivin' James.
Ooh, hoo, 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 hoo.
That's the best. And Hammertime Holshoe.
I can't follow up.
No,
James.
you
He
cannot.
won that one.
Thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks for listening. Be safe out there for Halloween. Come and check out the PCP Halloween party if you are invited. If you're not invited, have your own Halloween party. Enjoy the trick-or-treaters and all that fun stuff. Thanks for rocking with us. Have a safe and happy Halloween. And deuces. Woo!
Said more paramedics.
Switch.